Hey, I'm coming at you from a walk home from Aquafit. Yes, I'll tell you more about the Aquafit in a minute. And I wanted to talk a little bit about movement. So part of being in this human existence is honoring this body that we're in. And it can be so easy when we're doing the divine work. So by divine work, I mean spiritual work, the spiritual practices, that there's not a lot of movement. And unless we're brought up to prioritize movement, we don't get that much. Movement is important to move the current, to soothe our nervous system. Because as we're doing the divine work, we're running more and more and more current through our body. Right? And it needs somewhere to go. Right? It can get stuck. Or it can get overheated because it's just like frying out in one spot. And so it needs to be moved. It needs to be moved. Yeah. Let alone the fact that this physical body, as we gain more and more years of experience, needs this movement to help with preventing damage to it, right? And to keep it limber and to keep it moving. All of these things, let alone mood. Like there's all these aspects of what movement does. And like I said, the spiritual practices, there's not a lot of movement. Okay, maybe ecstatic dance, for sure. But we're talking about like if you're educating yourselves within the metaphysical realms, that's a lot of reading, right? It's a lot of sitting, maybe in front of the computer or with a book. And you might get outside, but you walk to a spot, you sit, you read, right? Maybe you're listening to audio clips and audio files and podcasts and stuff like that. But what are you doing while you're doing that, right? Other things like meditation. I said ecstatic dance, which is so much fun. So that's the movement, but how often are we going out and doing it? So important. I wasn't brought up to prioritize, straight up, I wasn't brought up to prioritize movement at all. I loved swimming, I loved biking. My parents tried to put me in organized sports because it was easy, because my brother was in them and he loved them, like soccer and baseball. I'm not so much. So I live with and I experience, which you might not know, social anxiety, and also, which I know, shocking, but also just general anxiety. And I have learned through the years, many years, different tools and things that I can use for it, including the tools that I use now. But my way of working with it was to be very proactive. Again, though, one thing that I was not taught was, okay, let's use movement. So, as of recently, oh, there comes the wind. Maybe you might get to hear it. As of recently, by that I mean last October, my shoulder decided to freeze up, and that can happen. So as we're moving, so I'm currently in, getting up into my mid 40s, and so there's a lot of shifts happening hormone-wise and stuff like that. And when that happens, that impacts our joints as well. And plus, like I said, I haven't prioritized movement, like at all. It hasn't been enjoyable for me because movement for me really sounded like, or what I was taught was like, oh, organized sports. I really loved badminton. Badminton was okay because it wasn't an organized group sport. Though there was still that level of independence, even though I was working with other people. And so that really appealed to me. But as I got older, it's not stuff that I sought out. So when my shoulder decided to tell me, hey, you need more movement, I thought, what do I enjoy doing? So the year before, I'd gone and tried Aquafit. And I loved it. So I love the water. Not a big fan of the chlorine, but there's a couple ways around that. Sauna afterwards to help push it out, different herbs to help process it through, and also not being in it for hours and hours and hours, right? Which has helped my shoulder. It's helped me prioritize movement. It helps my mood. It's ridiculous. So I'm like, yeah, this is so much fun. And I was just like laughing in it and stuff like that. Going to it, I did feel a bit of trepidation because all I'd thought of Aquafit before was the seniors, right? So we're talking like 60s, 70s, 80s, like getting up there in years of experience. And I will say that when I first showed up, I did get some looks. I did get some stares. And I had one lady actually super looking at me and glaring at me because I was laughing because I was having so much fun. So finally I looked at her and she looked at me and she was, what are you laughing at? And I said, I'm having so much fun. This is the best thing ever, right? And then everything was great. But I had to remove myself from that fear of judgment, that fear of not fitting in, like all of these things, right? So what I'm trying to say is find those things that are movement for you that bring you joy. Think outside of the box. Another thing that, super appeals to me, and I thought outside of the box, was square dancing. I loved square dancing in high school. Like, I was a square dancing freak. Like, I loved it so much. So there's a community around it, but it's not just that. It's you're still solo and independent, but you're still working with other people. And for me, that's important with the exercise that I do. I love biking, so I can do solo, right? But it's thinking outside the box. Like, what else is out there that's movement? Because, you can go to the gym, use the treadmill, go for it. Maybe that's something that works for you, right? But it's not the only thing. It's the organized sports, the soccer, the football, all the things that are culturally predominant are not the only things. Think outside of the box. Even if you don't feel you fit within that paradigm or within that culture, because there's a culture around each of these things, it's okay. So, for example, aquafit, like I talked about, square dancing is another one. I love golf. I was golfing when I was little. I still have the same clubs from when I was 10 because, I didn't grow too much. I love golf, going out and hitting a bucket of balls. It doesn't have to be going out and doing, the 18 holes or anything like that. And whatever you choose to do, go out and do it with that open curiosity. Because yes, I'm not going to say there's no judgment or there's no like, what are you doing here? For certain groups, right? Especially like for myself, I like doing the things that seem to be for the senior citizens, for the elderly. It's just the stuff. It also is the stuff that works with my body. Just the different things that and the messages that my body sends me. I don't do well with the high impact and stuff like that. I need the low. I need the gentle. What about Tai Chi? There you go. You've got Tai Chi classes. What about going and trying out, ecstatic dance? Or what about a belly dancing class? How awesome would that be? Right? How about a badminton? Maybe some pickleball. Recently, Derek, which you might have heard, got some rollerblades. What about roller skates? What about ping pong? These are all forms of movement that get you moving. Consider the things that brought you joy when you were a kid. Consider those things. Consider anything throughout your life that's been movement that you've been like, I had so much fun doing that. And then do more. And then do more. Yeah, balance, right? I just keep getting shown that current that we run when we do the spiritual work. If we're focusing too much on spiritual, or excessively unbalanced on one level, then our physical body suffers. If we focus too much on the physical, then we feel a disconnection with the all that is, and we can feel stuck and stagnant and really, really heavy and dense. Yeah? So I encourage you, over the next month, a little challenge. I encourage you to think about ways that you love to move or that you love to move throughout your life and do that thing. See if you can find a club. I just found a square dancing club. I'm so excited. They start in September, so I'm like, add me to your list. So I'm very excited for that. Don't tell. Or tell everyone. Or come join me. Oh my goodness. Like, how much fun. And do that thing. Do that thing that you haven't done in forever, but that makes you squeal with joy and just makes you feel so vibrant and so amazing. And if you have to make adjustments based on where your body needs are, then you make adjustments. Yeah, if you need to ask a friend to come join you for the first time because you're feeling a little anxious about going into something new that you have never done before, invite a friend with you. Don't want a friend with you because it feels better to just go in solo. Go in solo. Yeah. Okay. That's my PSA for today. No Rosie, because, I'm walking home. Sending you so much love and stardust. And I'd love to hear in the comments, what is your favorite non-traditional movement activity? By non-traditional, I'm talking about like the most culturally bombarded, like football, soccer, basketball, stuff like that. What do you love to do that might be off the beaten path for movement? I would love to absolutely hear it. Yeah? Oh, okay. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.